Alright, so my car had some issues. Last video, I drove it for the first time in 23 years. And so there's some problems I gotta fix. Oh, and welcome to Rust Revival Garage, by the way. But anyway, yeah, I had issues with the alternator not charging the battery. Had some timing issues. The brakes were there, but they were not great. And also, there was a cooling issue. It kind of got a little hot, which I think is associated with the timing. But I also think I need to sort of burp this system. So let's get to it. Okay, so here's what I think may be my problem. I have my alternator wire hooked up down here to the right of the two posts. I think it should be actually hooked up right here. So that might be why my generator light is going off, because this is hooked up. But I've got this wire down here hooked in the wrong spot. I think it should be to the left of the two wires. So yeah, I should have had it actually on this post. Let's get that switched over and see if that helps. So I've got the wire now attached to this post. This post actually says BATT on the side up here. The only thing that's confusing to me is this little plastic piece. It doesn't fit down in the hole. The circumference is much too large. But I do have a lock washer down in there against that and this nut on the bolt. So I'm hoping that this will connect and do its job and be able to feed the battery to the alternator and vice versa. So yeah, that's got this switched up. So we'll see if that works better. I need to adjust these brakes. I was able to stop, but I have a feeling they're just not out far enough. So I'm going to see if I can move them out a little farther. Just can't tell if I'm moving it or not. Alright, certainly out a little farther. Let's see if... Ah! Definitely some more drag on there than there was. I still think it's coming out too far. It's dragging. Not dragging enough. Let's try this. Alright, I will give that a shot. Yeah, I'll give that a shot, do the same on the other side, and hopefully that will be enough to stop the car. Let's get this wheel back on.
Uh-oh. Ooh.
Okay, so here's my dilemma. I cannot advance it anymore. I don't know if you could see it on the timing light, but it's retarded by a few degrees. And I cannot turn the distributor any farther. That vacuum advance is actually hitting the head. So I've gone as far as I can go, and it's still a little too retarded. But that means I think I was just barely off, and I might try to take the distributor up, see if I can turn it by one notch and drop it down, turn it counterclockwise. That'll give it more advance, because with Pontiacs, they are counterclockwise to advance. So I think if I can take all the wires off, bring that distributor up, turn it just a little bit, drop it back down into place again, I should still be in time, but I think that'll give me a little more wiggle room than with the turning of the distributor. Then I can probably get in an advance. But right now I've got it all the way to the max, got the vacuum line plugged back in, and it's running a lot better than it did in the last video, the last time that I drove this. So I'm hoping that I can, at least for now, get it over as far as I can, drive it for a little bit, see how it does. But yeah, it's still backfiring. It's running a little bit lean, but now that I've been running it for a little while with a little more advance, that temperature is staying right at around 190. So I think that is working better, and I just think I can go a little bit more if I can just displace that distributor a bit. So yeah, for now, let's just see how well this thing does on the road. So yeah, it's good news. I was able to test the battery while the car was running. Alternator's charging up. I think the reading was 14.4. So that means I don't need to get a new alternator, which sort of brings up an interesting thing. I actually was searching for an alternator for this car. This car may actually be kind of unusual. I know the 68s for the GTO and the LeMans, they had some issues where they were 1 year only things. And a lot of the places I checked for an alternator for this car, most of them didn't have it. AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Advanced Auto. I had one that said basically that it may fit your car, and I'm not a big fan of may fit your car. Except one place, I think it was Advanced Auto, had one that was $253 and said this is an exact fit for your car. And I thought, well, of course, for $250. But yeah, so at least that's good news. I don't need to replace that alternator. It is doing its job. So yeah, the engine's revving a bit too high, which is not a problem I had the last time I drove this. And I think it's because it was severely out of time and it needed all that extra throttle. Now that I've got it back down a bit, advanced a bit, the throttle cable's too short basically. So yeah, I've got to work something out. I don't have enough room with this new carb and my throttle cable. They're not meeting up. So hopefully I can maybe find something, a different bracket, to use one of the smaller holes maybe. But I gotta see if I can work something out because it's revving up way, way too high. All right, so yeah, I had it in this hole and it was not pulling from here to here. But if I've got it back in this hole, the throttle cable's fine. Got a little slack and that works. Everybody's like, oh, fall is great. Isn't fall wonderful? It's literally snowing leaves right now. And I've already filled up 5 of these things. So yeah, fall is great.
Stop. Yeah.
And we've got a new problem after that drive. Basically, it looks like it's leaking pretty much all the way around the oil pan. If you look up right here, there's a lot from this. I think it's probably the front seal right here, but the motor mount on the other side is pretty bad, and I can see it down in there too as well. I've moved the car twice, so I'm not sure that it's leaking from everywhere, but I just sort of backed it up and moved it forward, that kind of thing, a little bit. But yeah, seems like I've got some issues to deal with as far as the oil pan, and as you can see, there's not a lot of room. So this may get tricky. So after a little looking, I think it may have actually been a leak from my valve covers. I've got a ton of oil here. You can see it's gotten all down in through here. And if you go straight down from here, that's where a lot of the oil is. I still know that there's a front leak, but I still think part of the problem is the valve covers. So rather than try to keep futzing with these aftermarket crappy things that are 30 years old, I think I may try to use the valve covers from my Pontiac 400. Not sure if you've seen that teardown video, but these might be better, at least a better fit, to make sure I don't have any leaking oil. So I'm going to clean these up. Got a good start on getting them cleaned. Might shoot it with a little bit of paint, but got all the oil out and a lot of crud off of it. So yeah, maybe those will be a good replacement for those chrome aftermarket pieces of crap. So basically the rotor is lined up right with the little notch where the distributor cap goes in. So I think what I'm going to do is pull this out of the way. I think I need to take this cap out of my way. Doesn't want to go back down in. So I moved it over. It was pointed right here. Now it's pointed more down here, which I don't know. It seems like it might be a little too far. The only way I could do it was actually to move the engine itself a little bit. So I don't know if this just moved over because I moved the engine or not. I guess I'll just test it and see. But I do have room to play. And hopefully that will help. All right. I think what I'm most concerned about is not necessarily that the valve covers are leaking, which I think was a problem. My biggest concern is that the drain backs maybe are clogged. If you look down through here, it's, you can see in there, it's pretty severely sludged up. And I think that a lot of the oil is just getting up here, it's not draining back. And I know I can clean this out, maybe try to clear some of those passages, but I think it might lead to a bigger problem. So I've kind of at an impasse. Done some things in this video, but I'm just not sure what to do next. The timing is still probably going to be an issue. I don't think I got the distributor basically turned enough to really make a good correction for my timing. But my big concern is all that sludge that I think is in the engine. I know that it's not leaking from the oil pan, but I also think that the drain backs are plugged. I think there probably still is a leak in the front. And I don't know if I should take the engine up out, get everything straightened out, maybe clean everything out. I don't mean like rebuild it, but clean it out. I've seen a couple of videos out there on YouTube where people are using ATF and acetone and a bunch of different Marble Mystery Oil and a bunch of different things to clean the engine and clean the sludge out. I don't know if I want to keep trying to do that knowing that I still have a leak at that front of the oil pan. So I'm just not sure what to do. Try to clean it, keep futzing around with it, or take the engine out. What do you guys think I should do? I know I don't have a lot of viewers or a lot of people paying attention to this, but I'm just kind of not sure what to do next. And yeah, so if you have any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. I'm this close to just saying screw it and disconnecting everything, pulling that 350 up out of the LeMans and going to work on it, changing the timing chain, swapping out the water pump, cleaning the engine as much as I can, replacing the filter, or replacing the oil pan gasket, cleaning all the sludge out of probably it's been sitting in the bottom of that pan. So changing out the maybe even changing out the oil pump. So yeah, let me know what you guys think I should do. Thanks very much for tuning in and putting up with all the things that I've gone through with this, and we'll catch you next time.